not have a national holiday to honor him? Question, food for thought. I've thought about this. The more that I learn of how many influential people in this world there have been towards civic rights, the more that I learn that not all of them could possibly be recognized. There's just too many. Still today, everybody is now still, a lot of us are still fighting for freedom, for justice, everywhere in this world. This platform here at CAN TV says that they encourage freedom of speech. And so we are practicing freedom of speech. Something that Martin Luther King had to travel, march, host rallies, press conferences. He didn't have a station like this that he could just talk to everybody nationwide and have this kind of audience. But I do. Today I have a plan to talk to you not just about Martin Luther King, but also to talk to you about Coretta Scott King. Coretta Scott King. Last season, we spent all of the season celebrating hip hop, and everybody knows DJ Kool Herc, but not everybody knew Cindy Campbell, his sister, the promoter. It was her birthday. Not everybody knows Coretta Scott King. I have to look at my notes to even remember her name. That's a shame. I will never have to look at my notes to remember MLK. But it is because of his beautiful wife that we have this national holiday, Martin Luther King, celebrated on his birthday, January 15th, which is also my parents' anniversary. 46 years this year. Happy anniversary, papas. So, Coretta Scott King, since 1972, we all know that Martin Luther King was assassinated in the late 60s because usually people that try to do good get shut up, right? People don't want you to have a voice when you're speaking on behalf of the masses of people, right? There's genocide going on, and there's genocide going on in way different ways. Not just guns that the U.S. is supplying, right? Not just that. There's a lot of reasons for us to be upset, and there's a lot of things for us to voice. So this beautiful woman, Coretta Scott King, fights from 1972 to try to have her husband honored after all that he did, and then he was assassinated, and she fought with attorneys and all kinds of people just to honor her husband. Thank you so much, because in 1986 it became official, and since then we've been celebrating Martin Luther King. So I do think that without this national holiday, we would have still remembered him, but perhaps the next gent or at some point it would have faded away, right? Or been replaced by another activist or Malcolm X or somebody more mainstream to the youth, to the next generations. So Martin Luther King has been a very important figure to me personally in my journey with S.H.E Gallery. Some of you who have been keeping up with the last 14 seasons here and the last 10 years now of S.H.E Gallery may have had the chance to watch me perform this anthem. This free flow. I was working at the Cultural Center. Some of you may remember the story. And somebody said, hey, what's the story about S.H.E Gallery? What is it? What is S.H.E Gallery? And I said, oh, well, okay, well, I'm excited. Somebody asked me a question about this. And I said, oh, well, I had this dream. And it was a repetitive dream. And I was at this university and blah, 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 blah. And I start going on about this dream, you know. And I was like, man, you think that Martin Luther King actually had a dream? Like, do you think that that was an actual dream? Or was he singing like a goal? And he was like, no, he did. It was a speech. He read the speech, but he didn't use the whole speech. And so it kind of just came to him where somebody reminded him from the stage, hey, tell them about the dream. And so he listened, and I guess he had been talking to some people earlier just confidentially about a dream he had, a literal dream. And so that night at the Cultural Center, I went home with this thought, and I was like, man, that's so cool. You know, I was having these repetitive dreams that led me to study at the University of Chicago, that led me to start this nonprofit. This was very literal. And right there and then it started, and I wrote, yo, I had a dream. And I hear Martin Luther King, he did too. And when you have a dream, follow it, that's what you do. Yo, I had a dream. I went back to school, maroon and gold, cherry oak, stairs of divine. In my crutches with the light, I climbed up the stairs, and down the hall is where I'd go to class, smiling and social just like before. But in my awake, I was in a hole, different kind of a state of mind. Let me rewind. Yo, my name is D37, born and raised, born in Michoacan, Mexico, raised in Chicago, South Side. Sometimes I feel like, no, I don't want to die. I did before when I was a kid and up to not long ago. Today, I know the internal war is a little bit more important than me. It is up to you, it is up to we to be responsible for our society. So no, I don't want to die. I did before when I was a kid and up to not long ago. Today, too many are dying. It ain't funny anymore. Was it before? I don't think so. But they keep laughing in my face. Yeah, they keep laughing in my face. Each time they shoot another baby, another victim. Yeah, they keep laughing in my face. I smile back. I smirk away. This is just the flesh. You can't take away the soul. Down you'll go, down you'll go. And yo, I had a dream. And I hear Martin Luther King, he did too. And when you have a dream, follow it, that's what you do. So that's what I did. I went back to school because that's what my dreams told me to do. Study the arts, business for the arts. She, it is for she. Sharing his energy gallery, a place for all souls, like you and me, like me and you. Like everyone watching Can TV tonight, too. Is usually what would happen after that. I messed it up at the Epiphany Center, and thank you. And I had the chance to redo it. And the message was strong. You know, that night I'm sitting there in my journal, and I was like, no, actually, I free-flowed that in my phone. I still have it. And I was like, man, this is it. This is what She Gallery is all about. Sharing his energy. I had these dreams. It's a calling. It's a calling. When you have a calling, you best not ignore it. Because when you have a calling, you know that you're working with God. Whether you believe in God or not, you're working with the universe. These dreams don't just come, and not repeatedly, not knocking the way that they do. Over the weekend, I was having a conversation with my dad yesterday and today. Well, today about school and yesterday about this movie I saw over the weekend. I said, oh, Dad, I watched this documentary. I really enjoy the way that Nike got together with Michael Jordan, and Michael Jordan coming from our city. And I just felt so proud to be a Chicagoan. And I felt so proud that MJ, regardless of him being born in New York and growing up in North Carolina, he's Chicago. MJ is Chicago, and we're very proud of that. And so I learned that MJ was recruited by Nike the way that he was in high competition with Nike and Adidas. And so this was drawn or played out by a dream, by a calling, you know. So even then, when you have this calling, you have this drive, and you just keep going. So when people try to tear you down and try to take away your voice, you have to keep going. Most of the time what happens is even way past your death, if you're that significant, if your voice is that significant, you will never be shut, ever, even after you die. We still listen to the words of MLK. We're still influenced by him. I'm empowered right now, just remembering what that was like. And visiting the Washington White House this year, or end of last year, October. Because of She Gallery, I had the chance to go to Washington and cover a protest live and right to parole. And that was aired here on CAN TV. I hope you caught it. So it's been a great honor walking these feet, I guess, these tracks, these steps that these great leaders took. I walked King's Path to walk up to Mary Magdalene's cave in South France last year. And then I marched to the White House, protesting, unplanned, just to cover the story, to be a part of it. And I could feel MLK's energy. I could. And I remembered that it doesn't really matter what anybody says when you know that you have to do what you have to do what you got to do for the greatest of the good. And God will always, always, always have your back. Guaranteed. So whatever you call God, we could talk about that later. Going back to Coretta Scott King, that's really what I wanted to point out, that she is not, just his wife, and how much women get left out of history aside from the Bible, but even in social studies. We know that he was an important figure, but, there's always a greater woman, or whatever the saying is, that behind every great man, there's a greater woman. I strongly believe that. But Coretta Scott King, she was an author, she was an activist, she was a civil rights leader, and she received the Gandhi Peace Award. That's super cool. That's a great honor. I like that she incorporated music into her speeches, kind of like the way that I just did. So I thought that was really cool too. They met in school, they met in grad school. I really like this love story. I love the way that they supported each other. It makes me happy. It made me sad for his death, but I knew that they loved each other throughout, and they supported each other always. When I was in Cincinnati, Ohio, covering the story on the Railroad Freedom Center, Nelson Mandela, I hold him very, very, very close to my heart, because he was in a position where his wife and the people all turned on him. They couldn't understand his need for peace and love. They wanted to war. They really wanted to war. They were mad. And Nelson Mandela was not assassinated, but he lost his wife, he lost his people. That's... 2 weeks ago, we sat here with Teal 1, and we talked about the sellout. Teal came to me in August. It was over the summer that he started kind of like, hey, come over here, we're doing this. And for whatever reason or another, I wasn't able to make it to this or to that. And then eventually it was like, okay, I just need to meet with you. And he showed me his new space in Pilsen. He had heard a lot of great things about me. Thank you, Teal. I had heard a lot of great things about him and what he was doing. And so it was a great honor for him to even reach out. And so he showed me what he was doing there. And I was like, oh, well, why are you coming to me? And he was like, oh, well, he was looking for art leadership, I guess, as an artist. Not every graffiti writer wants that. Not leadership, but like management. So like, no, that's what we're doing. We're also working together and collaborating. But Teal, if you know Teal, you know him as like Momentum, or I Write on Stuff, or one of his entrepreneurships. But not so much Teal as an artist. And I think that it's really hard. I completely understand that when you're in this position of leadership, sometimes it's very hard to continue on with the position of an artist. And so I'm very, very glad to be able to help Teal with that, and honored. Such an amazing artist. So we'll talk about those events coming up, because there's actually 2 events that I want to announce today. 3 actually. But one with Teal is February 10th. That's going to be the first pop-up that we are attending. We are supporting another genre of misfits, the Bazaar of the Occult. We'll talk a little bit about that at the conclusion of the segment. I'm also going to be in an exhibit in Oak Park next month with the Women's Collective. I'm very excited about that, working with Karen Schumann. Congratulations, Karen. And April 6th is Orko's birthday, and that will be the celebration for his life. Rest in peace, Orko. Orko, I mentioned him 2 weeks ago. I'll get back to the sellout. But Orko, I mentioned him 2 weeks ago. He passed away, and I mentioned that, or 3 weeks ago when I first opened the show, or last week, sorry. When I was talking about Orko and his passing and how significant he was to my life and our conversations, most of these conversations consisted of him being wowed by some of these achievements. How did you do that? But how did you do that? And do you realize this? And how are you able to bring these 10 writers from first generation together and actually accomplish all of these things? These 2 panels, Sundays on State Street, this amazing exhibit. How? How did that happen? People flying from all over just to get there. How did that happen? He wanted to go, and I said, well, God. You know, in co-creation with God, they say that whatever you try to do with God, whenever it's possible, you do it. A lot of people no longer believe in God, and here we're going to talk about the sellouts. When Teal was talking about being a sellout, so when he comes to me and he's like, art management and working together, I said, let's do a show celebrating hip hop. Cool. That was amazing. Had so much fun. So much fun. If you missed it, that sucks. It was a great show. It was a great, great exhibit. The artwork was amazing. The energy was amazing. And it was just beautiful. So that was really cool. We did that. But I was wanting to understand why somebody in his position would want any aid from me. You know, and I said, you know, you're calling yourself a sellout. I'm not sure what I'm going to be able to do with that. And that's when he was able to really explain to me that he was being extremely sarcastic. And how much we leave each other, or how much we minorities leave each other behind. We're afraid of success or financial wealth because they might change us, you know. So he puts this very loud in your face, haha, sellout. Let me be a sellout. Why not? If Lupe Fiasco's doing it, or he names, De La Soul, or he names some rap artists, how come they get to, you know, have income off of their gifts? I do think that, I mean, even though that's really funny, I do think that there is a different definition of sellout. I don't think that there's anything wrong with, of course, doing something like Teal. You work very hard. Yeah, of course. You know, you make your artwork, that's original. Nobody can duplicate that. Sometimes we ourselves as artists can't duplicate our own work. Duplicate my own work. I can't. It's extremely authentic. It's extremely original, and we should be paid for that. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely not. However, a sellout, very different. Very, very different. Very different. When there's a lot of money to be put in your pockets, a lot of money to be put in your pockets, at the price of others losing their jobs or their positions that they so hard for nearly 30 years, some people. That's being a sellout. that couldn't take them serious because they thought that they themselves responsible for the things that they do. We talked about what happened to Afro here. I don't think that I'm Martin Luther King, and I don't think that I will be one of those people that will be remembered. Not like that. But if you're watching this today, I want you to please, please, please try to be honest with yourself. The next time that you're trying to fit into a crowd just to be cool and you know that you're doing something that you're not supposed to because it doesn't feel right, walk away. Those people are going to be out of your life in no time. Friends become strangers real quick. There is a world full of sellouts. Teal, you're not one of them. That's for sure. I love what Teal is doing. I love what he's doing with Momentum Art Tech. I have a lot of respect for a lot of these graffiti writers that have really paved way fighting. It's really fighting oppression. If you visit our website, sharinghisenergygallery.net, please take a look at the graffiti art talk that I gave at 19th Century Club. It is a great talk. Thank you for the kind words that people have expressed throughout these last few weeks with Orko's passing. Vones had just passed away in November. Orko passed away December. My cousin just passed away 2 weeks ago. So there's been a lot of death. There's been a lot of change. And there's just more of a reason for us to keep on going while we still can. Thank you, and I hope to see you again next week. Peace.